John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing. Hey, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and if you're driving back, safe travels. You know, I'm seeing signs that we are hooking up here with a El Nino type pattern. I'll be talking about that in this briefing. I'll also be talking about a shot of some cold air that's moving into a large part of the nation early this week. Let's get started. Well, some of the action spots, one of them right now. So winter storm right here, and it's moving up into the Great Lakes region and eventually the eastern U.S. I'm also keeping an eye on this low that's going to be bringing some rain into the eastern U.S., mid-Atlantic, and northeast. Take a look at the snow over the Midwest. Nebraska and parts of Kansas, 4 to 6 inches of snow. Lighter amounts, but still enough to cover the ground across parts of northern Missouri, parts of Iowa, and now heading up towards Wisconsin and northern Illinois. That's the first Midwest winter storm of the season that produced this type of heavy snow. Now, over the last week, temperatures were quite mild in the upper Midwest and the Southeast. Those areas in red were about 6 to 8 degrees above normal. Matter of fact, a bit of weather whiplash here. Take a look at Nebraska and Kansas. Made it up close to 70 degrees last week. This is the warmest temperatures of the week. Right now, this is Manhattan, Kansas. Highs only in the 30s. So after 70s last week, or near 70, highs only in the 30s. Look at the southern tier of the U.S. This red, we're still hitting 80 degrees. And matter of fact, parts of Texas, 85 degrees. Now let's take a quick look at rivers here, and I see a lot of red dots. So generally speaking, we are at low flows or lower flows in many areas over the central and eastern U.S. Pacific Northwest, also very low flows. One of the spots that's running a bit high is parts of central Florida. In case you're interested in the lower Mississippi, remember the barge traffic is being impacted by low flows. These are some of the three primary inflows into the lower Mississippi. The Missouri at St. Charles running pretty low. St. Louis, a little bit of a bump, but it's coming down. And the Ohio is also not doing much. So what we have is, even though we're having a bit of a bump here at Memphis and Vicksburg, it's still low flow or lower flows and forecast to continue to recede. So not a whole lot of change in that yet. Okay, so let's talk about the jet stream. And I like this North American weather regimes to give us the big picture. And it looks like as we end up November, we are in this pattern called Alaska Ridge. And what that is a pattern where there's a ridge of high pressure in Alaska and then a dipping jet stream in the middle U.S., and that results in an intrusion of colder air. And that's what we're seeing this week. You can see how the jet stream sags to the south. As we get into December, especially the second week or so, we get into a new pattern, and this is the Pacific trough, and that is a trough of low pressure in the Pacific and then more of a ridge over the U.S., and that's milder weather. And as we get into December here, gives you some idea. You don't see much shading, and that's saying that jet streams are beginning to lift north. The polar vortex is getting stronger and keeping some of that cold air up to the north. But that's the future. This week is going to be cold in many areas. And take a look on Tuesday morning. We are looking at single digits and teens. Many parts of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and large areas around 20 are colder. So a shot of cold air through the middle part of the week. And actually in many areas, most of the week below normal. Okay, so where do we expect the heavy rain this week? Well, especially higher coastal parts of Washington and Oregon State and higher elevations, the Cascades. Then look at this. This is the El Nino pattern that I talked about, and I think we're going to see that quite a bit. This is pretty typical. Not so much over West Texas, but then right when we get in here, it starts to pull that moisture in from the Gulf right along the southern part, southeast Texas, Louisiana, southern Alabama, Mississippi, parts of Georgia, and that's where we could see this type of pattern. And this isn't just one system, this is 2 or 3. Any snow this week? Well, I see some Great Lakes snow. These are our storm tracks, by the way. Look at the Great Lakes snow here. And that is due to still the relatively warmer water on the lakes and enhanced flow, cold, stable air behind it. with this cold air moving in, and that produces lake effect snow. Okay, take a look at this here. Week 2, above normal temperatures over many areas. That weather whiplash is going to continue. Areas unusually cold this week are going to be on the mild side in week 2. And there's our precipitation. Not a whole lot of change. The action spots, the Pacific Northwest and the Southeast U.S. I hope that answers your weather questions and helps you with your planning for the next couple weeks. If you have any questions or comments, things you want me to focus on a little bit more, a little bit less, send me an email, john.bwoweather@gmail.com. Have a great week.